Wisp Sports Radio, the voice of women in sport.
This is Season 3, Episode 3 of Ruck On with Wisp Sports. At Wisp Sports, we believe women in sport deserve equal coverage.
You asked for my heart, you left it alone. I'm giving it all, but you wanted more. Every piece.
Hello, I'm Siobhan McCall, and this is the show that brings you highlights of women's rugby. And there certainly have been some highlights recently for my co-host, England and Saracens rugby star, Poppy Cleall. On today's show, Poppy will talk us through what it was like to be part of England's stunning Grand Slam win in the Six Nations. We'll take a look at the Tyrrell's Premier 15s and build up to the two semi-finals. Of course, Poppy's club Saracens are part of that. And the bit I'm most excited about, we'll find out what it's like to become a dog mum. But before we get on to any of that, let's bring in Poppy. Hey, Poppy, so good to catch up with you.
Hi, Siobhan.
Hi, Poppy. How have you been?
Yeah, I've been good, thank you. I have to admit, you sounded like a pro there.
Oh, thank you.
Welcome to your first show.
Thank you. It's great. Thanks so much for having me here with you.
No, it's good. You can come again with that introduction. You got me excited just to talk about rugby.
Building me up for a fall now. Obviously, it's been a little while since the last podcast because you've been so busy. Six Nations champion, Grand Slam champion, and we'll take a look over that. Let's get that one right. What an impressive tournament for England. Adam, my co-host at the Women's Rugby Show, and I went down to Twickenham to cover the Scotland game, and the buzz before the game was absolutely amazing. We had fans coming up to us just saying how proud they were of the women's team, and just they were so excited about the future. And again, when we went inside, there's such a special atmosphere, and you must have noticed it on the pitch.
Yeah, I think that game was especially because, when the fixtures first came out for the Six Nations, everyone went straight to the last game at Twickenham v Scotland, the possibility of having a Grand Slam decider, which, hasn't happened before at Twickenham. So
no, exactly.
It was quite a lot of pressure to you just get to that moment because if you lost one game, that's it. You had that opportunity taken away from you. So yeah, everyone knew the buzz about that game was going to be huge. Everyone wanted to play in that game. They wanted, be starting in that game, and it was by the time we got there a really big occasion. And I think the fact that the men had the ridiculous draw against Scotland just increased the sort of atmosphere and the buzz that was at Twickenham that day. Because I remember we went into the tunnel. When we get into Twickenham, we go in about half time of the game that's before. So when we went underneath, and then you can't hear anything under there, and we don't have any distractions, so we're not allowed to watch the game or anything like that. England were leading something ridiculous, 31-7 at half time, and then we go out to warm up, and everyone's like, "It's a draw," and we were like, "No, that can't be. It's a draw," and you could feel how intense and the atmosphere was there at Twickenham. And when we finally went on to warm up, there was kind of 80,000 people still stood there looking at us in a bit of shock. But it was really good to play there and even see everyone staying for our game.
I know, that must have been incredible. When we were outside, there's the Marriott Hotel just outside, and there honestly was just fans backed up outside, all staring out staring through the window of the hotel, just as you said, watching the men's game in sort of utter disbelief. And I completely agree. I think that really helped build an atmosphere for the women's game later on. Because to be fair, the weather was horrible, and I didn't envy you lot having to play in that.
Yeah, no, it wasn't great. It wasn't great. It was like a sort of just a rain that you just couldn't get away from, and it was even though it wasn't really torrential, which you can when it's torrential, you can get away with mistakes and stuff. It was a sort of rain that you can't really see on TV. No one knows, but it's just everywhere. It was pretty disgusting.
And at the end of the day, me and Adam were just, we looked very windy. And we felt awful when we were in the mix zone afterwards, and we could see Sarah Hunter came out, and we could tell that she was really cold. And we were like, just one more question, please. We want to let you get back. The crowd that day, over 13,000, record crowd. It must have been so amazing. As you said, you came up for training, you had all the crowd from the men's game, and then actually such a huge amount stayed around. That must have been so good to have them cheering you on.
Yeah, I think obviously this Six Nations, and recently for women's sport, they've been creating records, left, right and centre. So the weekend just gone in the Tyrrell's Prem, they had the most attendance for a women's as like a game on its own, women's Premiership domestic game, and then the crowd that was the record at Exeter for 10,500, and obviously the Twickenham crowd of 13,000 doesn't count as a record because it wasn't an individual like ticket sales, so they can't actually confirm the amount. But the record in Exeter does stand because there was 10,500 or something people there.
Yeah.
So it's crazy. And then you go to the likes of Italy, created a record when they had a game, and so did Ireland in their last fixture against France. So, you know, for all these attendance records to keep going, and every time they seem to be a new one every week. So it's so good that every week we're like smashing it out the park and getting more and more people to come watch us.
And the amazing results on the field are only going to help that. I mean, the stats from the Six Nations campaign, I'm sure you know these off by heart already, but they're absolutely stunning. You know, 278 points in the 5 matches, 45 tries. When we were speaking beforehand, we spoke about the France game, and that was the only one that you got under 50 points. And it's just amazing.
Yeah, so I think the scorelines never reflected the sort of battles that we had. Like when we played Italy, it was really quite close at half time. They like the first 20 minutes, I think it was like 0-0. So it was a really tough game. And I think when I was looking at one of the stats, someone said, "Oh, it's the most points that England have scored in the Six Nations since 2003." And I didn't really quite believe them because, you know, England were really dominant in the Six Nations about 10 years ago. You know, they went, was it like seven Grand Slams back to back? And I was like, really? We scored more points than all those sort of years, but supposedly we did. And, you know, it's the likes of Jess Breach and Kelly Smith on the wing, and they're becoming like world-class finishers, and you give them even a little opportunity and they take them. So, you know, we're lucky to have those sorts of players coming through I'm lucky because it's the same England team I'm playing with, and I'm lucky they weren't there 10 years ago, or they're not there in 10 years' time, so I still get to play with them. But, you know, it is really good that we've got a really good attacking game.
What's it like being part of that squad? Obviously, I can only look from the outside in, but how does it feel to be part of it?
Yeah, obviously it's fantastic to ever when you get to play for England, and, you know, this is sort of every time you play, it's the pinnacle of your career, and it gets better and better. So, you're just lucky that you're with a group of people and players that you can also like call your friends, sort of thing, and you just like the company of, and you get to hang out, and the atmosphere is really good. The coach, like, they're trying to drive the culture forward, and it kind of just adds to the memories that you sort of create and the experiences you go through. So whether it's, you know, the highs or the lows, because, you know, in elite sport you're going to get the lows as well. So it's good that we can all be like, call each other friends and actually want to sort of hang out with each other.
Yeah, that must make such a difference. And as I said, when me and Adam were doing the kind of post-match interviews, I think it was right near the changing rooms. You'll be able to tell me that. But I could just hear the celebrations. They were so loud. It sounded like so much fun. I just wanted to come in and be part of it.
Could you hear? Oh my God, that's crazy.
We could. It was just absolutely booming. And then, as I said, don't know how far away we were. But...
We were singing a song. I can't remember what the song's called. I'm not good with music, but they split us into sort of like forwards and backs, and we were singing a couple of songs. So that was pretty good, yeah. So if we were going to look at like the Six Nations as a whole, probably my first question for you, what would you class as your favourite game watching from the Six Nations, and why?
I think I've got to go for the Scotland game, mainly because I was there. It was actually the only game that I was present at. And,
saw live.
Saw live. And I've only been involved with the women's rugby show for, I think it's 2 months now. And to be honest, I'm going to be honest and say I actually didn't know huge amounts about women's rugby before I started on the show. And I suppose I didn't really understand what kind of all the buzz was about. And you have to be kind of present, I think, at a stadium to understand, to feel part of that. And I felt on such a high after that day, you know, seeing the celebrations at the end. I just felt and seeing like a really kind of dominant performance as well.
Mm-hmm.
I think it made me feel really proud. And
Yeah, so you've got live sport is incredible, isn't it? So if you get the opportunity to see any sport live, I think it's ridiculous and like crazy. So to come, was that your first time at Twickenham?
that was my first time at Twickenham, and my
There's not a better place to go.
no,
is there?
exactly. It started on such a high, and obviously, you mentioned before about the game at Sandy Park, and it sounds like, and obviously you'll be able to tell me this, that the kind of the atmosphere, because Sandy Park's that bit smaller, was a lot more intense for that Italy game, but Twickenham it's the home of English rugby. It's the first place that you think of, so where better to watch an amazing England team win the Grand Slam and win the Six Nations.
Yeah, exactly. So they are for this year. Well, they started last year, but they've been moving the games out of the Twickenham, so the Stoop. We've played it a couple of times, and in Twickenham, to go around the country and let more people experience women's rugby and international women's rugby. So we went to Doncaster. We played against France, so we had a crowd. I think. No, I don't know off the top of my head, and I wouldn't like to guess, but we had a pretty good crowd up there, nearly sold out the Doncaster Knights Stadium. Then we went to Exeter to Sandy Park, and again nearly sold out that stadium, and then back to Twickenham. And I think we all love playing at Twickenham, love it so much. And probably when we were kids and we were watching rugby, and we've seen all the men's games at Twickenham, and you always want to play at Twickenham. It's like the home of English rugby, so you would never want to give up playing at Twickenham or the opportunity to play. And even though the crowd compared to the stadium isn't big, you can still hear them, you can still feel that buzz. And then when we go to Exeter and Doncaster, you can experience like a nearly full stadium, which is ridiculous because the sound that creates is pretty intense. So people always say, what would you prefer to play at Twickenham or other grounds? And it's really hard to say. I don't really mind. I don't think I mind what stadium I'm playing at, as long as there's a good crowd. So I think for me.
Did you find that crowd at the Italy game at Exeter really lifted you and the rest of the team?
Yeah, it definitely did. Yeah, it definitely does. And it was a funny one because when we went to France last year, we played in front of 17,000 people in Grenoble for the Six Nations decider then. And that was really scary. Like, it was so intimidating. All the people shout like "Allez le bleu," and I was like, "Oh, like goodness gracious me!" You just see red, white, and blue everywhere. All these flags everywhere. And personally, I think that when you pack out a stadium like that, it's more intimidating for the opposition than it is for the home team. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So Italy come into Exeter when you've got all the England flags all around, and then chanting and cheering. I always find it so intimidating for the opposition, and I think that's the key when you're packing out a stadium. It's it's so good for the home team that's playing in there, and it's what you can do to support your sort of team, because it does definitely help.
Completely. And I think so I mostly, like, my permanent job is mostly in football and covering a lot of the England team. And obviously Wembley Stadium is where they'll play the majority of the national team games, but sometimes they send them around the country. So I know you're a bit of a football fan. Like, they went to Leeds just before the World Cup when they played Costa Rica, and the atmosphere at Ellen Road was just incredible. And I think it's also because you're kind of targeting a different audience. People that live in Leeds can't necessarily get down to Wembley. So when the national team come to the stadium there, everyone wants to pack in. And I suppose it's kind of the same for women's rugby. It's like opening up to a new audience. It won't just be London based. You're getting the Southwest in Exeter. And
yeah, exactly. And everyone knows that the Southwest is crazy for rugby. So you take the Six Nations game down there, and they definitely do their bit and fill out the stadium. So, I think it was good for them to get the record, because I think they've been well deserved it to get the most ever ticket sales for a women's game. That's not the World Cup, so it's great.
What was your highlight? I've given you mine. What was yours?
Mine would have to be the same, because we got to lift the trophy at Scotland. But apart from that, if we took that one out of it, I think the first half against France was pretty good because it was just so, dominant. And coming off last year, like I mentioned, we lost in the final play they scored to win the Grand Slam last year. So coming off that, everyone goes, oh, it's not about revenge, it's not about that, when it isn't, because the time's gone so far. It's like a year ago now. We've played so much more rugby. It's sometimes a little bit of a different team, so it's not about revenge, but it just felt so good to actually put like a really dominant 40-minute performance out against a side that kind of stole the Six Nations away from you last year. So to put that marker down and to be in such a way, it was so physical. So we were really physical in defence, and in attack we're getting over the game line and winning all the collisions. And then we were sending the likes of, like I mentioned, Jess Breach and Kelly Smith, and when we got Emily Scarrett to set them up, they didn't ever get close to either of them when they were running down the wing. So I think that first 40 minutes against France was probably one of the highlights for me.
Yeah, definitely great result. And from your perspective, I mean, I think, this team, I'm looking going, this team could be world number one. Could they win the World Cup in 2 years? Is that where you and the rest of the girls' expectations is, or am I just getting a bit carried away?
No, obviously not. We want to be the best in the world, and we want to lay down a marker of whatever game we're playing in. And obviously, if we do that, then we'd get the number one team in the world. Whatever how the World Rugby do their rankings, I don't know, but of course that's where we want to be and what we're always striving to be. But it's just there's a long way to go and a lot of hard work before then. And the competition is so close. You kind of lose one game, and you're back down the rankings because the top 5 are pretty close in the rankings, and you can easily go from 1st to 5th and vice versa. So when we got this summer tour coming up in San Diego, and we get to play the 4 other best teams in the world, I'm sure there'll be a bit of shuffling after that tournament.
Definitely. Are you looking forward to that?
Yeah, of course, absolutely. Any opportunity to go on a summer tour with the national team is something that you look forward to, and you want to be on this tour. I'm not sure I'm too happy the fact that it's in San Diego, and last time I went to California in the summer it was 44 degrees, so I'm definitely not looking forward to that. Yeah, we went to the Sevens World Cup last year, and I was like, it was the hottest weather. No, it was like the heat wave, and it was like the hottest degree temperature ever recorded in Los Angeles, and 44 degrees, and we couldn't even step outside. So, I think we might have to get some hot weather training in somewhere. Maybe they'll take us somewhere beforehand, but to go to San Diego would be pretty cool to play, and also to go and play the top 4 teams in the world. That doesn't happen. I don't think it's ever happened before, and it might not happen again. So.
No, exactly. You just need to make sure you stock up on the sun cream. And if you're anything like me, I would be like a lobster within like a week or a day more.
Sun cream. We went. Where did we? We went somewhere. I think actually no. We went to Santa Barbara before, and we had ice, kind of like coats at half time. And they were giving us these ice packs, and you just put them on like you'd put a coat on, and that's just to cool you down. Yeah, just to cool you down because it was so hot. And I know I didn't go on this tour, but a couple of years ago they went to Utah, and it was at altitude, and I think they struggled with that. They're getting some oxygen, and so they do like to test us with all these conditions, like weather conditions and things, and geography of where these put these places. But it'll be good to go somewhere else in the world and see another part of America.
Exactly. Yeah, that must be great. Like being able to see so many places, and also, I suppose, as you said, like being able to adapt to all those different conditions is only going to improve you as a player, and
as a sort of team as well, and like different ways and styles that we can play in different conditions, because everyone knows that. Well, after even when we're at Twickenham, sometimes it can be rainy and cold and miserable, and then other times the extra game was sunny and hot. So to get used to all these conditions, because I'm not really sure. Have you been to New Zealand before?
No, I haven't. What's it like?
So we've got, obviously, I don't know. I've never been to the World Cup in New Zealand. Yeah. No, that's what I was asking you. I'd know if not. No, the World Cup's in New Zealand in 2 years. So I don't know what the weather's going to be like then. And so I'm sure, they're going to be getting us used to all these different experiences before then, because it's a long game, isn't it? It's great to win Grand Slams, and it's great to go on summer tours and hopefully win a couple of games, but the ultimate aim is in 2 years' time, and it's sort of building for that and getting everyone experiences and getting all the young players coming through and getting a couple of caps under their belt in front of big crowds and big occasions.
Absolutely, yeah. And the thing is, that time will go, I know it's a bit of a cliche, but that time will absolutely fly by as well. Like 2021, isn't it? Yeah, 2 years. Yeah. That sounds like ages away, but before we know...
Yeah, you'll blink and it'll be there.
You'll have that lovely long flight to New Zealand, but it's meant to, I don't know much about it, but I know it's meant to be a really beautiful country. So hopefully you'll get to see a bit of that as well.
Fingers crossed. So should we go on to the Tyrrell's Premiership now? Because were you at the game of the weekend?
I wasn't actually. No, I was working at, what time was that? 4 a.m. So I couldn't make it. Sadly. But
so you're letting Adam do all the hard work at the Game Changer.
I actually don't think Adam was there either. I think he was. He might have also. He definitely had something in his calendar. But we will be back for the semi-finals. I'm going to be doing the Saracens game, and with Adam, and then Kirsty and Adam are going to be doing the Quinn's game.
Good choice.
Yeah,
games.
Definitely. I'm from North London. I'm from near Barnet actually, so I made a quick claim for Saracens.
Good choice. So I think we should quickly just brief. So if anyone is actually listening, we should brief them in how the Premiership has ended. So we've obviously got Saracens in first. Second, we've got Harlequins. Third, you've got Loughborough, and fourth, you've got Wasps. So then obviously we go low down the table. I think you've got Bristol in fifth. Gloucester Hartpury in fifth, Bristol in sixth, Richmond in seventh.
Yep.
DMP in eighth.
Fairwood in ninth, and Worcester Valkyries in 10th. Is that right?
In 10th. Yeah, perfect. And then, so obviously the way it works is in the playoffs, you go first, get to play at home in the semi-final against the team that finished fourth, so Saracens v Wasps, and then second, get the home semi-final against whoever finished in third, so Loughborough. So then, the next question is, what's your predictions?
Oh, okay. I had to do my predictions for round 18. I was quite close with the Saracens Fairwood game. I think I went for 55, so it wasn't too bad. They obviously didn't score, but
okay.
Saracens got 64. My Quinn's prediction we won't even talk about because it was so bad. But anyway, for this one, Saracens, I'm pretty confident they are going to get to the final. I hope I haven't cursed you now by saying that. But obviously, Sarries have had really good results against Wasps this season. They've beat them twice, and I think there's such a boost from finishing. And that may or may not be the case. I'm sure you can tell me whether that is the case. Is there a boost from finishing top? A psychological boost, I mean.
Yeah, definitely. I think it's good to get the home semi. It's good to play the lower ranked team in the playoffs. But then when you come down to a one-off game, anything can happen. And you've got to forget the fact that you finished first or the fact you've beaten them twice already. Because, I think last year they were the only team that sort of beat us convincingly in the league. So come this year, and we've literally had the worst luck in the last 2 weeks. So if bad things come in free, then we'll be all right because we've already had our bad things. But it will be a good game, and it's going to be live streamed, so it'll be a good game to watch. Who do you think is the other team that will make it into the final then at Northampton?
I'm going to go with Quinn's.
Safe. You've gone safe,
really
yeah?
Safe, I know. I went to Quinn's against DMP Sharks, and they just were completely dominant. They obviously did really well last weekend. They seem to be really confident. I think they got a lot of kind of a boost from the Game Changer. I spoke to some of the girls the week before, and they were just so excited about it. They said they really wanted to use it as an opportunity to build for the playoff semi-finals and keep that momentum. And I think the final is going to be Saracens against Quinn. I can't call that actually, but I think that's how the semi-final. I think the two semi-final winners will be those two, and it's going to be incredible fun.
Yeah, okay. I like the sounds of that. We can go straight to the final now. That'd be nice. Saracens Quins.
I'm giving you that.
No, you are right with the sort of Quins. I think, they've measured their season out and they're peaking at the sort of right time. So they're probably putting in their best performance of the seasons now, which is what, as a coach and as they've probably all planned out from the beginning of the season, is what, they were aiming for. So to get that game changer in, and now to put, when you look at the performance as well, it's all good and well creating a big event like that and creating a buzz, but if the team doesn't perform,
exactly,
it's not really for much. So when they had the performance to go with it as well, I'm sure they're pretty pleased where they are, and going into that Loughborough game, I'm sure they're pretty confident when it comes down to that game.
How's all the preparations going for you? Like, so you didn't play in the last game against Furwood, but how's I think there was a lot of changes, wasn't there? Was there 9? Was that right? 19.
Yeah, we made a few changes. So luckily we'd already won the league in the week before, so we got to rest a few people. We got to see a few more other people who'd be pushing for a chance to play in our first team, and we pushing to play in the playoffs. So a bit of healthy competition, and also just a reward for the players who had been playing well week in, week out in our development team, or coming off the bench and performing well. So the likes of Hannah Duffy got to start, Kay Cersei also got to start, and it was good to see these players getting the opportunity and also taking it, because a few of them definitely played well, and gave our head coach sort of a bit of a headache going into the choosing the team for the semi-final.
Yeah, but when does the coach tell you the team?
Oh, so we've got training Tuesday and Thursday. Next training we'll have Tuesday, and he'll hopefully then announce the team. So obviously we're playing on Saturday, to us on Wednesday, and I think it comes out to the sort of media on Friday. So yeah, he will get told on a Wednesday.
I'll be keeping an eye out on Friday. I've just wanted to go back to something you said before, actually, because you were talking about 3 bits of bad luck. I think we should let the audience know exactly what you meant.
Oh, okay. Oh, so unfortunately, we've lost Marley Packer, Vicky Fleetwood, and Bryony Clill to season-ending injuries. So, to have 3 international players in your team and then not in your team, is a bit of a blow. But that's probably the wrong word to use, luckily. But I think for us, it's happened sort of now. So before the playoffs, before the last game of the season, we get the time to process, to digest it, process it. And then, we get the players who are going to come in to replace them to play in the Waterloo game. So we've got a little bit of continuity rather than it happen at the beginning of, in the semi-final or in that sort of gap. So, it is crazy to lose them, because obviously Bryony and Marley both started in the final last year. And then we got Fleetwood back from 7. So, if you looked at another team and you thought you take 3 of those internationals out, it's going to be a little bit of a difference. So,
and obviously Bryony is your sister. Does that make it more upsetting for you?
No, is that really bad to say? No, I think it's
No, I thought that your professional head was going to answer that.
No, I think it's just, it is rugby. We know these things can happen. No one's naive to think, oh, you're going to make it through the whole season without getting an injury or hurting yourself. So she did make me laugh, though, because I was playing in the game, she got injured, and she was like, you didn't even come over to see how I was. And I was like, oh no, sorry, I had 20 minutes of the game still to play, and I wasn't thinking, I was concentrating on what the next line out and the next scrum. Plus, I don't particularly want to go over when she's on gas and air and getting stretchered off. So she did give me a bit of stick for that. She was like, even the opposition came and said, are you all right? And I was like, oh, sorry. I said, if it was me in the same boat, I wouldn't want you to come over, so don't worry. She was like, all right, okay.
Just completely,
but no, so
in zone.
Yeah, I was in the zone. I was telling everyone, think about your next job. But yeah, no, it wasn't ideal, and I think if we had lost that Loughborough game, it would have probably been written down that day as a complete disaster. But the fact that we came back to win it in the last play and managed to wrap up the title
Yeah,
then,
exactly. That was it.
it was just about worth it, losing all those people to injury. So
I saw, like, when I was going through the Saracens kind of post-match reaction and stuff, I saw that a few of the players and your coach as well was just saying, that was kind of like a bit of a wake-up call we needed, and we've got to learn from the experience. And do you think that's the case?
yeah, absolutely. So we're in high level, elite rugby, and in the Premiership, and if you go into the changing room with 24/7 up at half time, you should be expected to see the game out and wrap it up, not to be for the opposition to go ahead with a minute to go. So it is a wake up call, and it's okay that it's happened now, and we get to kind of address those issues for the end of the season rather than, like I say, it being the semi-final or the final. And I don't think it'd be less than ideal if we went into a semi-final and the opposition went into the lead with a minute to go. Let's be saying that. So, we're glad it's happened now, and we can address those issues, and we can actually have something to work at training, and something that we all know that going wrong and that we can sort of sort out now.
Exactly. Yeah. Oh, I am really looking forward to those games.
They're going to be really good games. It's a good 4 teams in the playoffs, and they're all 4 teams that play really good rugby, play different sort of styles of rugby. So to come against each other would be two really intense and exciting games to watch.
Totally, and hopefully a really good crowd at Allianz Park as well.
Yeah, that would be nice. They always seem to do this to us, but the men have got a fixture the same day away to Bristol, but I think they're going to put the men's game on the big screen before our game. So yeah, that's a clever thing to do, isn't it? So that you can watch that and then watch us. So hopefully we had a big crowd stay after the men's game at the weekend. So hopefully some of them enjoyed it and will come down to semi-final to cheer us on.
Definitely. Really, as I said, really looking forward to that. There's one thing I want to ask you actually. So when obviously I was told I was going to be doing this podcast, I had a little listen to some of the old episodes, and there was one last year. You and Kim Donaldson were having a chat, and you were talking. I think it was the end of the Tyrrell's Premier 15s last season, and you were just saying how you thought it had really improved the women's game. Obviously, we're now almost a year later. How do you assess that situation now?
I think the sort of results that we've had at England kind of speak for how the Tyrrell's Prem's going. So people keep going, oh, but you've been professional, you're the only full-time professional team. And being full-time in your role, obviously it's helped, but it doesn't help to the extent that we're putting 50 points on other international teams. When you start a new job 4 weeks in, you're not the best You're going to be. So I think the fact that these results in the Six Nations have been down to the Tyrrell's Premiership, and you've got the likes of Rosie Gallagher and my sister and people like Shauna Brown, and who are really standing out in the Premiership, and then they get a chance at England because of it. And it's less of a bigger step up to play international rugby because of the standard in the Premiership. You've got the likes of American internationals like Christine Summer at Quins and Leah Lyons and Jade Conkle and all these other international players come into the Premiership because of the high standard and the competition, you get to face, and the other quality players you get to play at. So I still think that a year on that, that it's only going to be better for the rugby internationally, and obviously also the crowds. Like, how exciting is it that you get to come on a Saturday or Sunday and watch all these international players run around and play some rugby?
Exactly, yeah, really. Don't need me to say it's a really exciting time in the women's game, and long may it continue, because if anyone is listening and hasn't been to a game or hasn't watched it, it's really fantastic. Such a high standard, so enjoyable, so exciting. And so a message from me, get out there and watch it, especially the semi-finals.
Yeah, we picked up a new fan in the last 2 months of you now.
I know.
The flag for women's rugby.
I know. I'm really loving it. And then, as I said, the game at Twickenham, was just like, wow. And then so the more you go, the more you start knowing who the players are, and you kind of, the background behind the teams and stuff, like the rivalries, and that just makes you more and more engaged.
You start commentating on it as well. And whenever I go to watch women's, like any rugby, to be fair, and there's people around me always making, like sort of, when you talk about the game you're watching.
Yeah.
And soon enough you get to know us all, and you get to correct them because they go, oh, she plays for. They pretend they know it, and they go, oh, she plays for Harlequins. You're like, no, actually, she plays for Worcester, and she's this. You get to know us all, and actually, that's my friend over there.
Yes. And hopefully,
I know her.
Hopefully, I will see you in it's just under 2 weeks' time. I'll be cheering on from the sideline. Anyway.
Wearing just red and black.
Yes,
please.
I have my red top ready to go. Don't you worry. And black jeans, actually, so I'll be properly coordinated. Of course, it was Mother's Day in the United Kingdom on Sunday, and hopefully all the mums out there had an amazing day. But Poppy, you've actually become a mum of sorts recently, haven't you?
Yes, I have. So I got to go pick up he's a long-haired miniature dachshund called Dudley. So I got to go pick him up after Six Nations, a couple of days after Six Nations. I went and got him and brought him home. And yeah, now it's been, I think, 3 weeks, and I haven't had much sleep. But, apart from that.
So like a real parent. Was it love at first sight?
Yeah, it absolutely was. Yeah. So, I did get a card off him as well on Sunday for my first Mother's Day. Probably my last, but as in get a card. I bet he won't give me a card. Hopefully not my last Mother's Day. I mean, he probably won't get me a card again. I think because it was the first, he felt like he had to. But yeah, no. He's got Instagram, so follow him, Dudley.dashhound, obviously on Instagram, and you get to see all his cute photos. Took him to the beach the other day.
I was just about to say that picture, like, oh my God, he's so cute. I love dogs, and he is so beautiful. He's just there, and it's lovely, lovely sunny background, and
he's a bit of a handsome boy, yeah.
He certainly is. He really is. And so it's been sleepless nights, but I bet it's rewarding.
No, yeah, it's been good. Don't tell my coach I haven't been getting much sleep, but yeah, it's been worth.
That's our secret.
Yeah, it's been worth him when I come down in the morning and see his little tail wagging. So yeah,
brilliant. And obviously, like, you're used to doing loads of training for yourself, but training a puppy, how does that compare?
Oh, I'm not. So we went to puppy school yesterday, and someone was like, "You're too lenient and too much of a pushover," and I think I need to become a little bit strict with him and shout a little bit louder. And I'm like, no, don't like telling him no because his little puppy eyes, but I got to get a bit stricter. And more like my coach would say to me, no, stop doing that. That's what I've got to be like.
Oh, I wouldn't be able to be strict. I'd be terrible. I'd be giving them like little...
All these skills in rugby are transferable, you see.
Definitely. Even more reason to take up rugby.
Exactly.
Prepare you for having a pet. Anyway, let me hand over to you now. And if there's anything else you'd like to cover?
No, that's it. Talked enough about the Six Nations, I think. You'll probably be sick to death about hearing about how amazing England were. And then the Premiership. Yeah, no, that's it.
Brilliant. Well,
thank you for joining me for your first episode of many. I think you did a great job.
Oh, thank you, Poppy. It was really great chatting with you. And hopefully you'll have me back and we'll be able to see how my predictions went for the semi-finals, and we may be celebrating another win for you next time we come back.
You're only allowed back if you get one of the predictions right.
Oh, gosh.
That's the deal.
Oh, dear. Right. So you may not hear from me again, but hopefully...
Conversations from the world of women's sports. This is Wisp Sports Radio.
Before we go, make sure you head to wispsports.com for more coverage of women's sports. If you want to get in contact with Wisp Sports, send us an email at info@wispsports.com. Follow Wisp Sports on social media. That is @Wisp Sports. Poppy, how can people follow you on social media?
On Twitter, I'm Poppy_G_C, and on Instagram, I'm just Poppy and then CLE.
and make sure you follow Dudley as well. Right, join us again next month here on Ruck On when we'll be reviewing the Tyrrell Premier 15s. Thank you very much for listening. Poppy, thank you for having me and supporting women in sport.